Welcome to a Sit Down with Sharon, part of my Learning to Live Well video series on YouTube. Today I want to talk about corn. If you've watched my intro video, you know that I've had many food allergies for a very long time. Corn, however, is a toxin for me. I have been treated for most of my food allergies, and thankfully it worked. I'll do an upcoming video on SAAT treatment. Google that if you have alpha-gal or food allergies and see if it can help you. But let's talk about corn. Corn is a toxin for me. It affects my lymph nodes. You may be able to see today I've got more of a swollen chin than I usually do. My lymph nodes here under my chin are a little bit hard. And the reason for this is because I had to take some potassium and magnesium the other night. My heart rate had gone to 162 beats per minute, sitting still and not doing anything. And my normal heart rate is around 60 to 70. Now, I have been body aware for a very long time, having had food allergies since I was 14 years old. So I learned over time that when my heart rate goes up, like it did the other day, I am dangerously low on potassium and magnesium. Now, when you have food allergies and food sensitivities, it is really hard sometimes to get the nutrients that you need in your diet. So I knew taking the potassium and the magnesium, I would probably be crossed up with some type of corn ingredient. Cornstarch, maltodextrin, some kind of binder in the pill. Sure enough, I was crossed up. But taking the magnesium and the potassium brought my heart rate down, stopped all the other issues that I was having, and thankfully I'm okay. But that means I have to do a lymph system cleanse, which includes green tea, nettle tea, lots of water, going back to taking my Himalayan pink salt and water, as Barbara O'Neill recommends in her video series, and doing the things that I need to do to cleanse my lymph system. Now, corn being a toxin for me, like I said, is a different reaction than an allergic reaction for me. My allergic reactions include hives. They include all of the symptoms of anaphylaxis. But the toxic response is all in my lymph system and my liver. And so I'll feel very lethargic for several days. My lymph system goes crazy and I have swelling and hard knots in my lymph nodes. So corn is something that I try very, very hard to avoid. So where is corn hidden in our daily lives? Well, I'm a baker, and I never thought about my baking powder until recently. I kept having continuous small problems that I knew were lymph system problems, and I couldn't figure it out. Well, one day someone had posted a picture of their baking powder on one of the alpha-gal sites and asked, is this safe for us to use? And I saw it was the same kind of baking powder that I've been using. And the first ingredient was cornstarch. I went, oh my God. I went into my kitchen, I checked, and sure enough, my baking powder had cornstarch in it. So it went straight in the trash. So now I make my own baking powder. Found out recently that aspirin has cornstarch in it as a binder. So no more aspirin for me. I found out that certain deodorants, there are chemical names in deodorants. A friend of mine posted on a Facebook page, don't use a particular popular deodorant that you have to special order because it set her on fire. And I asked her, I said, are you sensitive to corn ingredients? And she said, I am, but corn's not listed on the ingredients. And she sent a picture. I sat down with my phone in one hand and my tablet in the other hand, and I looked at the list of ingredients and I started putting into my tablet the chemical names on the back of the deodorant. Well, 4 of those chemicals. And what I do is I'll put the chemical name in and then source of straight into Google. 4 of them came back as sourced from corn. So even though it didn't have cornstarch, it had 4 ingredients made from corn. So that is a big thing that I have to do. I have to research every ingredient in everything. Now, when we look at foods, maltodextrin can be made from many different grains, including corn. So if something says maltodextrin, I set it back on the shelf. Cornstarch, corn syrup solids, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, those are easy. But what about dextrose? Dextrose is also made from corn. I love a particular type of candy. All of a sudden, they started putting dextrose in it. Can't have that particular kind of candy anymore. So I have to read every label every time that I purchase something in order for me not to have the lymph system go crazy. Other places that corn hides is in vinegar. Vinegar, distilled white vinegar in the United States, 95% of it is made from corn. They don't have to tell you the source of the alcohol that they make the vinegar with. So what do? I use a white wine vinegar and a red wine vinegar. You'll notice in my videos that I use wine vinegars. The reason for that is I know they have nothing to do with corn. Apple cider vinegar is great if you're not allergic to apples. Again, I've been treated for the apple allergy, but I don't know 100% that I'm over that. Sometimes I get affected and sometimes I don't. So I just choose to avoid apple cider vinegar for those reasons. But when we have food allergies, it's extremely important to learn how to do your research. When I go to Google, I put in the name I'm looking for of the chemical and then source of, and it will pop up and tell me the source of that chemical. It will tell me whether it's sourced from mammal. It will tell me whether it's sourced from corn or wheat or barley or whatever grain it is. And that has been literally life-saving for me. So if you begin to do your research on the things that you're allergic to, you will be amazed to find mammal and corn and other grains and things hidden in places you never would have thought. One of the first places that I found corn was in my deodorant, and it was listed as cornstarch. Well, why not? It's a cheap binder. It's a cheap solidifier. I can't blame companies for using something that doesn't cost much. After all, who's got the money to spend on expensive things these days? But be careful with your food allergies, regardless of what they are. I have a friend who is allergic to fish. Fish gelatin is a problem for her. So, and the smell of fish and all kinds of other things, and it's hidden in everything. So she has to be as careful with her allergy as I have to be with corn or the other things that I've been allergic to. So be careful, do your research, know where things are hidden, and find them. When you find them, eliminate them from your life, and you will find that you are much healthier. And like I said, taking the potassium and the magnesium was a necessary step, regardless of the fact that it had corn. But I sure wish I had a source of those that didn't have corn in them. So this has been a sit down with Sharon, discussing corn toxicity and other food allergies as part of my Learning to Live Well series.